You asked Allah for help, and Ibn Arabi said there are moments when the answer does not come through dreams, visions, or miracles, but through something far more subtle, a message placed directly in your path. And if your heart is awake, you will recognize it instantly, because the believer does not find reminders by accident. Every reminder is sent, every sign is placed, every moment of guidance is written long before you need it. And this video you are listening to right now is one of those moments, a moment written for you before you were even born, because when a servant cries out for help sincerely, Allah responds in ways the mind cannot predict. And Ibn Arabi taught that the help of Allah often arrives disguised as a sentence, a story, a verse, or a realization that appears at the exact moment your heart is breaking. That is why you feel something inside right now, that slight trembling in your chest, that quiet pull, that sudden awareness, because your dua was heard before you even finished it, and the answer is unfolding at this very second. The Prophet said that Allah comes to the servant who walks toward him, and Ibn Arabi said Allah comes with a light so soft you don't notice it at first, until you look back and realize everything changed, everything aligned, everything began to make sense. And now Allah is telling you through this message, do not lose hope, do not think your prayers were ignored, do not assume this silence means rejection, because silence from Allah is preparation, delay from Allah is protection, and redirection from Allah is mercy. And the sign He gives the servant He loves most is not wealth, not ease, not success, but guidance, the kind that reaches you in the quietest moment of despair. And if you are hearing these words, it means Allah has not forgotten you for even one heartbeat. He has been shaping your path, softening your heart, clearing your vision, and pulling you step by step toward the help you asked for. But help does not always appear as a door flying open. Sometimes it appears as the strength to keep walking, sometimes as the calm that replaces panic, sometimes as the clarity you feel right now, the sudden understanding that the hardship you feared is not the end but the beginning of what Allah wrote for you. And Ibn Arabi said the greatest sign of divine intervention is when the heart feels urged to return, to remember, to rise again after falling, because that urge itself is Allah calling you back, lifting you, guiding you, and telling you that your story is not finished. And the fact that you are here, listening, breathing, hoping again, this is the answer you asked for, this is the help you prayed for, this is the sign that Allah has opened a new chapter for you. And if you walk through this moment with sincerity, you will look back one day and say, that was the moment everything changed, because that was the moment Allah answered me. You asked Allah for help, and instead of giving you an answer immediately, He guided you gently, silently, toward this moment, toward these words, toward this reminder that arrives exactly when your heart begins to collapse under its own weight. And Ibn Arabi taught that when the servant cries out, Ya Allah, help me, the help rarely comes as a miracle crashing from the sky. It arrives as a sign, a message, a pull, a strange heaviness or a strange peace. And he said that when Allah wants to rescue someone, He first awakens their heart. And if you are reading this now, it means your heart has already been touched, already shaken, already chosen, because Ibn Arabi wrote that Allah never lets a desperate soul wander alone. He sends something, a verse, a dream, a sudden thought, or even a video, before the breaking point. And he said the believer should never say, I found this reminder by accident, because nothing that reaches the soul arrives without permission from the one who owns every breath. And he taught that when Allah wants to lift you from hardship, He begins by calling your heart back to Him, even if all you did was scroll, even if all you did was search for comfort. And he said that the dua you made in exhaustion is accepted the moment your heart becomes sincere. But acceptance does not always look like an immediate answer. Sometimes it looks like being led to exactly the reminder your soul needs to survive the storm. And Ibn Arabi wrote that help from Allah does not always arrive in the form you imagined. Sometimes it arrives as truth you have been avoiding, sometimes as silence that forces you to kneel, sometimes as pain that purifies you, and sometimes as a message that whispers, come back, I am still here. And he said that when Allah chooses you, He removes distractions one by one. He closes doors that were never meant for you. He makes your heart restless until it returns to Him willingly. And he said the moment you feel the urge to repent, to seek Him, to change, to let go, that moment itself is divine help, because guidance is greater than any worldly blessing. And he taught that the biggest sign Allah heard your dua is that your heart suddenly begins to move, soften,
open, and if you feel that right now, it means your prayer has
already been answered, not in the dunya yet, but in the unseen realm where all destinies are written. And Ibn Arabi said the believer who was guided to remembrance has already received the greatest help, because everything else, ease, rizq, healing, solutions, comes after the heart returns to its Lord. And so the message reached you not by accident, not by coincidence, but because your heart called for something that the world could not give you. Ibn Arabi taught that when a servant cries for help sincerely, Allah answers immediately, but His answer rarely comes the way we expect.
Sometimes He sends strength. Sometimes He sends patience.
Sometimes He sends a person, a verse, a moment, and sometimes He sends a reminder disguised as a message exactly like the one you are reading now. He wrote, when Allah wants to lift His servant, He sends him to the place where his soul can hear what his ears cannot.
You didn't choose this moment.
You were brought to it.
Because your heart said, Ya Allah, show me what to do, and Allah responded by guiding your steps here.
Ibn Arabi explained that when the soul becomes overwhelmed, when nothing makes sense, when doors close, when you feel abandoned, Allah does something subtle but powerful. He redirects you.
He pushes you toward the reminder that carries your answer.
He said, help does not fall from the sky. It arrives through guidance.
If you are reading this, it means guidance has already begun.
You may feel tired, confused, disappointed, or lost, but these feelings themselves are signs.
Signs that Allah is reshaping your path, removing what harms you, pulling you away from what you cannot yet see.
Ibn Arabi taught that this moment, the moment when your heart breaks and searches, is the moment Allah comes closest. And when a servant whispers, help me, Allah replies, come closer to me. You were led here because Allah heard something in your heart that you never said out loud.
He heard the fear you hide, the pain you don't show, the loneliness you don't mention, the confusion that keeps you awake at night.
And instead of sending you a person, He sent you a sign, a message, a reminder that He has not left you for a single heartbeat.
Ibn Arabi said, the help you seek is already on its way. But the heart must open before it can receive. And perhaps, right now, this is your opening. This moment is your turning point. This message is your answer.
And Ibn Arabi said that when a servant asks Allah for help, the answer doesn't always come as thunder, miracles, or sudden openings. Sometimes the answer is a direction, a pull, a moment, a reminder, or even a video. He taught that whenever a believer sincerely says, Ya Allah, help me, something in the unseen world begins to move instantly.
Angels are dispatched. Hearts are guided. Steps shift without you even noticing. And often, the first sign that Allah is responding is that He brings you to the exact words your soul needs at that moment. He would say, the help of Allah rarely comes the way you imagine. But it always comes exactly when you need it. So if you are here right now, listening to these words, feeling them strike somewhere deep in your chest, then understand this. You didn't find this reminder by chance. You were brought to it, pulled into it, guided toward it.
Ibn Arabi wrote that when a person feels lost, confused, or afraid, Allah may guide them not with a loud answer, but with a small nudge, a sentence, a verse, a sign, a moment of clarity.
Something that makes the heart say, this is for me. And He would say, the believer never walks alone. If he asks for help, Allah sends it before the lips even finish the prayer. So understand, your heart is not hearing these words accidentally. You asked for guidance. You asked for strength. You asked for a sign. And Allah answered in the most subtle, beautiful way, by letting these words reach you at the exact second you needed them. When Allah wants to guide someone, He doesn't shout. He places the right reminder in their path.
He softens their heart at the perfect moment. He brings the light right when the darkness becomes unbearable.
And right now, in this moment, you are standing in that light.
When you asked Allah for help, you didn't realize that the answer wouldn't come as a miracle in the sky or a voice calling your name. It would come as a moment, a message, a reminder sent exactly when your heart was about to give up. And Ibn Arabi taught that Allah's help rarely arrives the way you expect. It arrives the way your soul needs. So when you stumbled on this message, when this very video opened in front of you, understand that nothing about it is random, because Ibn Arabi said that. When a servant cries out in desperation, Allah responds not with noise but with direction, not with lightning but with guidance, and this guidance often takes the shape of a sign that only the heart can recognize, the kind of sign that appears at the exact second you cannot carry your pain alone anymore. He wrote that the moment you say, Ya Allah, help me, the entire unseen world rearranges itself to deliver what was written for you, and sometimes that help is hidden inside a simple reminder. Like this one, a nudge from the unseen that whispers you are not alone. He said that when a believer breaks, the veil between the heart and the divine becomes thin, and in that thinness a single word, a single verse, a single sign can save an entire life. He described help from Allah as light flowing into a cracked vessel, meaning that if your heart is hurting, it is open, and if it is open, then the help you asked for can finally enter. And he taught that Allah's response is always immediate. Not in the form of instant solutions but in the form of instant attention. The moment you whispered your prayer, Allah heard you. The moment your tears fell, He saw you. And the moment you felt lost, He guided you here. Because Ibn Arabi said, the message that finds you was sent to you. So if your heart feels something right now, even a small shift, even a tiny softness, that is the sign. And he wrote that the greatest form of help Allah gives is reassurance, the kind that turns fear into patience and confusion into clarity, the kind that whispers directly to your heart, I am with you. So do not doubt this moment or brush it away. Your prayer was not ignored, your cry was not lost in the darkness. Help has already begun, not as an instant change of your situation but as an instant return of your strength. And Ibn Arabi said that when Allah chooses to guide a person, He places signs in front of them until they stop running from what was meant for them. So understand this clearly. You asked for help, and Allah sent this reminder, because He is showing you that He has already begun to move your story toward relief, toward ease, toward what was written for you long before you were born. And now that the message has reached you, the only thing left is to take a breath, soften your heart, and trust the one who never leaves His servants unanswered.